Good evening, everybody. My name is 12 Gauge. Thank you for coming to my channel. If it's your first time here, I'd like to welcome you. I hope that you find something that you enjoy, something that gets you motivated to keep coming back. If you're a returning person, thank you for continuing to come and spend your time with me and listen to some of the topics that I put up on the screen and talk about. I have a chatter in the chat room. Text says, "What's going on, buddy? Hope you're doing good. I hope you're staying cool from this Texas heat out here, man. It was 103 over here today. I'm not going to be doing true crime tonight. I'm going to be kind of just winging it. I have a lot to say. And, last night I was kind of in a silly mood, so I didn't even go live. I just uploaded my stuff and I let people watch it. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Yeah, that's what I hear. That's what I hear. Supposedly next week we're going to get some rain to cool it off, though. So hopefully that happens. The title said Rattled Brain, does it ever get better? There's times in life where people are just fed up. They're just fed up with the way things are. They're fed up with the way that life is. And they're fed up with the ignorance that they must face every day. And most of the time, it's not even ignorance that they possess. It's not even ignorance that they put forth into the world. It's ignorance that comes their way. And it's sad that sometimes people they don't know how to deal with that. They don't know how to deal with creating a calm environment for themselves. It's kind of like this padded room that I have in the background. Sometimes you feel like at the end of the day, you need to go to a padded room, protect yourself and protect everybody else from the destruction that you could possess if they don't leave you alone or they push too far. I hope that I never lose my sanity and end up in a padded room. That would be terrible. That'd be totally, totally terrible. But stress does that to you. When you're stressed out, it becomes too much for you. When you kind of self-destruct at that point. I don't know how long this live's going to be tonight because I felt like I had a ton to say, but now that I'm talking, I'm just like, oh, that's all I got to say. So, Texas, did you like the uploads from last night? Did you enjoy the humor? Yeah, we run into people like that could use those padded rooms. Sometimes it's sad that people can't get along, with those rooms without I mean without having to be in one of those rooms. I guess what I could do is I could talk about shame and guilt because I don't know, I don't want to talk about that. I don't really want to talk about anything, but um I have to talk about something. I can't just be up here with no topic or no direction. That just wouldn't be cool for you guys. I think I have something I want to talk about. And it's something that I've done before. Because what I'm doing is I'm retreading some of my older stuff that I did when I first started this channel. It didn't get a lot of views. And I'm not doing it for views. I'm just doing it because I thought the material was pretty good, you know? Um, so, you know, you know what the hot topic of everybody's heart is? It's the Idaho 4. If you're not talking about that, or you're not talking about something that has to do with that, then it's almost like you're irrelevant, like you don't matter. Your voice isn't heard unless you're talking about that case. And I don't understand what people want to steal milk from that case. I don't understand it. They still want you to milk whatever you can out of that case. And for a while I thought, well, this case is interesting. I want to dive into it. I want to talk about it. But you know what? I don't want to talk about it tonight. I want to talk about addiction. I want to talk about mental health. I want to talk about the heat that's outside. You know, um, I want to talk about how you guys are doing. You know, typically unique. I was just watching a video that you had suggested for me to watch. You and Carlos did pretty good in that video. I mean, I was listening to what you had to say. You guys want to come up on panel to talk to me about it? Why don't we get a head start on it? Rondi, how you doing? How was your day? I hope it was good and you're not melting like everybody else on the planet. Let me put the link down there and you guys can talk about it. We can get a head start on it. That's awesome. Rondi, you want to come up on panel? You don't have to show your face. You just have to talk. Just hit the link. I have been practicing the guitar, and it's a struggle. I don't know if any of y'all play instruments, but it's a real struggle to. Well, you can keep your cam off. You can just talk. Okay. Well, just hit the link, and when it asks you which one you want to do, you got to do one or the other. So if you don't want to do the cam, unclick the microphone, and it'll let you come up on the panel. So just click the link and click one of those where it says Enter Studio, and you click the microphone because you don't want to be on camera. It didn't work. Oh, okay. Well, you can try if you like, you know. I like to have different people up here on panel, to be able to talk about different things. I was going to talk about true crime tonight, and I have a show already planned out, but I just wasn't feeling that. Hope you guys understand that. Hope you understand that sometimes, you know, even though you get all excited, you can be motivated, you can have a show planned out, and then bam, you get home and you're like, man, I don't want to do that. I don't feel like getting on camera. I don't feel like getting up there and talking. Okay, sounds good. But here I am anyways. I mean, because by the time I got home, I thought, you know what, I wasn't on panel last night, so might as well. Okay, when you click the link, it's going to ask you enter studio. So you enter the studio, and then it's going to bring up a screen and it's going to show your face. And it's going to ask you which one of those you want to do, the microphone or the camera. So if you don't want your face to be shown, once you unclick one of those and it lets you in the studio, then when you get in here, you can click whichever one you don't want to be seen. Like if you don't want the, the camera, then just click the camera off and you can leave the microphone, but you got to leave one of them on. Yeah, no shame, just warning people. Well, there's 3 people in here, so I'm sure you don't have a lot of people to really warn. It's not like the most popular topic. I don't know who I'm competing with right now, who's live, but obviously there's somebody live that has a lot more what would be the topic? Favorable topic. You got scared this morning at the park and saw coyotes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's not a good thing. I hope you run with like no, come on up. Y'all all can be up here. Um I hope you run with some mace or something because you need some kind of self protection, you know? I got a haircut today. I don't know if y'all can tell it, but yeah. Major drama on YouTube. Yeah, I know. I know. I watched a little bit of it this morning and I was like, it's really tragic. Got people cussing each other out, got all this stuff going on. I mean, people are going to do them. You can't control an adult. They're going to be who they are. Good, good. You can't control people. You can't control who they're going to be. You can't control how they're going to act. Only in here because this is my stream, so you know I kind of got a little control in here. Not much, but I got a little bit. Portland. There you go, Texas. They won't bother you unless they're rabid. Yeah, coyotes are pretty cool. I wouldn't think there'd be coyotes in Portland. That must be a new kind of coyote. I've never even heard of coyotes in Portland. I know there's coyotes here, and the rattlesnakes are out and about, big time, trying to get um, that cool ground to go under. Yeah, I don't know. Coyotes really, like you said, they won't mess with you unless you get all kind of wild on them. I don't know. Get you some bear spray. That stuff will put anything down. So did you get go ahead and come on up. We're waiting on typically unique right now, but go ahead and come on up. Mount Tabor, oh yes. So there's coyotes. Is there black bears up there? Is there grizzlies or whatever? I was sitting on the ground one time, deer hunting, and right at the dark, one tried to run over me, jump over my shoulder. Wow, that's crazy. Animals are, that's what we need to understand sometimes is when we're in their habitat, you know, they're just doing what animals do. They just do what animals do. Kind of like in the ocean. When people get upset that sharks attack or, you know, there's all these, you know, fish that are back there, all that stuff. I mean, you're in their backyard, you can't really get mad that they're doing what they need to do. They're acting like animals and they're in their home. You can't be upset about that. You had to mace a guy once. I went through some training one time while I was working for the adult probation department, and we had to we had to get maced. They stood a distance and they sprayed us. Talk about burning. It was crazy. Oh, okay. Yeah, I know what you meant. Texas, you want to come up? There's the link in the chat. Anybody who wants to come up can come up right now. We have open panel. Come on up. I know you've been up on DJ's panel before. I've heard you talk. You can click that link if you want. I don't know how it is over there in Portland. That's Oregon, right? So I don't know if you're allowed to open carry or not. But here in Texas, we can open carry. So if an animal comes at us and we got our piece on it, we can defend ourselves and shoot them. So or they're on our property and we can defend ourselves and kill that animal. They call it vermin. Yeah, so getting maced is no fun either. I mean, it sits there and burns your eyes. It burns your throat. And the worst thing you can do is just add water to it because it just makes it worse. I don't know how the professional individuals that get maced or whatever, they go right through it like it's no big deal. I'm running out of stuff to talk about. So one of y'all come up here and give me something to talk about. I see people coming in and then they'll stay for a second and then they leave. So it's like, I don't know if I want to talk about this. I don't even think they get it because we were talking about rattled brain the other day when we were all laughing. So I thought I'd use it as a headliner slogan. So I guess they don't get it. So it's cool. It's whatever. Yeah, Johnson City. I know where that's at, but I can't really think of it. Hope it was nice. I live where it's hot as hell. There he is. Hey Texas, what's up, man?
Oh, not a lot. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I didn't know.
Hey, refresh my memory. You used to work as a corrections officer, right?
Yes.
Yeah. What was it like in there, man? Did you get into a lot of hard situations where you had to, bomb the guys or anything like that with flash bombs or smoke bombs or anything?
Now we had one guy one time. He was just a troublemaker, and in SEG you had either inside rec or outside rec in each pod. We was
Yeah.
in inside rec, and he had filled up a bunch of milk cartons with all kinds of different things from his body, and he started chunking them. So I went out. I got the Rovers to come back into the picket, and I went out there with that 37 millimeter gas gun and was dragging it across the bars. He come out of there pretty quick. But that's the only problem I ever had, as far as having to pull anything.
Did you notice a bunch of mental health problems in there? Like, did you notice a lot of people with mental health issues?
Well, I'm sure there was, but you really can't tell because some of them are just like somebody you talk to every day.
Yeah.
But then some of them on certain days they just, they wouldn't turn their lights on, so you couldn't count, and just crazy stuff, man. There's hundreds of stories I could tell you about, but it's a pretty weird feeling when you first go in there and they lock you in them gates behind there with all them fools.
Oh yeah, I worked at one, but it wasn't anything like probably what you worked at. I worked at it was called a treatment camp, where everybody's 6 months into going home. So
Right.
you really didn't get a lot of behaviors, even though they still acted pretty much the same. They weren't going to show out. They were on their way home.
Yeah. Well, we got 5 units up here by me. One of them's an intake unit. I don't remember the name of it, but I worked at the Michael unit,
Okay.
and I didn't want no part of Cofield, man. That's nasty.
Yeah,
So
I've heard about that.
yeah, they've actually got a super seg down there, at Cofield,
Yeah.
and they got some pretty bad dudes in there. Not very many. I think last time I was there, they had like 4 or 5, and that was it. In super seg.
Well, we got Kim and Carlos up here in Texas.
Hey,
You know,
Texas.
Hey,
Hi,
typically
Chloe.
unique. Huh.
yeah, Tim, how
Hey,
you
how's
doing?
it going?
We're good. Carlos is coming. I
Okay.
caught him a little off guard.
Well, that's fine. We're just talking about Texas used to be a corrections officer in the prison, and he was just telling us some stories about what he encountered in there, and I was asking him about mental health stuff and things like that.
Well, they did turn our administrative segregation. It's a psych ward now at the
Okay.
micro unit. Yeah, I wouldn't want no part of that, man. I wouldn't want no part of that.
Yeah, people get. I mean, they get that mindset even if they're faking it. They're gonna milk that to the best of their ability.
Yeah,
My
Not
daughter worked.
everybody has a psych problem.
no,
Go ahead.
My daughter worked as a CO for a little while it was slash jail prison, but she had to go through the getting sprayed and all that stuff too. Yeah, it was,
Yeah.
and they were so understaffed. It was crazy. So she doesn't do that anymore.
they all are. They were before I left. They were bringing people over from Nigeria to work,
Oh wow.
and
Yeah, that's what I hear. There's a lot of Nigerians and a lot of
yeah,
upper positions in there.
we had a use of force one time, and we had a guy hadn't been there very long. He was from Nigeria, but we had another one. His name was Way, Wey, and he had been with us a while. And of course, when we have a use of force, it's time to get after it. That guy turned and tried to run and get out of the section. And Way tore him up. He said, "This is how we do things down here. This is how we handle it. We don't go tell nobody." That guy said, "Yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir." So
Yeah.
never had no problem out of him anymore. But
Yeah. I mean, you get down pretty hardcore. I've seen some.
well, they put cameras in there now, and that's one of the reasons I left, because I can't deal with that. If one gets out of line and pops off of me, I'm gonna slap the hell out of him. Ain't no ands or buts about it. That's what's happening, and they knew it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, you're watched. You're watched everywhere you go. I mean, that's a good thing and a bad thing too, because I mean, some of those cameras don't have audio, so all you see is the situation, like you're saying, and the offender could be at fault.
yeah. Well, they usually were. I mean, for the most part. Yeah, I mean, when you go in there, I mean, you could go in there to try to be a jerk, and but I really never had any problems,
Yeah,
uh, except for that one guy, that William Connors. He might have been off mentally. I'm not sure,
yeah,
but when I was in OJT, he was in there, and we were doing showers, and it was in Seg, and he had his bar of soap in one of them plastic soap holders.
Yeah.
And I was bent down handcuffing the next guy to go over to shower, and he had, I don't know what all he had put in that soap dish, but he threw it and it got all in my face. And the guy that was training me, I stood up and I drew my food slot bar. I was fixing to wear him out, and he shut the door. And anyways, they filed charges on him. He got like an additional 10 years for that. But I made his life. He had a horrible life if I was down there for 4 days, because we worked 4 on and 4 off.
Yeah, I mean that's a horrible thing. Is it's such a toxic environment. When I finally quit, um, I was so angry. Like I would come home angry. Like when I finally quit, it probably took me about 6 weeks to finally get back to normal
Yeah.
function, because I mean that everything is so amped up in there. It's like a total different world.
Well, yeah, there's no heat. They can't smoke, but they do.
Yeah.
They get contraband in somehow. I've seen them where we found a bunch of marijuana one time out in the pasture on the road next to where you come in for visitation.
Yeah.
And they found, I don't know how much it was. It was a bunch. I walked in there and looked at it, and I thought, good God, let's go have a party. My captain didn't like that too much, though. But
yeah, they got those drones now. They just they take those drones and drop it over the fence. Take the drone off, and you can't tell who did it.
I wouldn't be surprised. There is no telling. There is no telling. And the stuff that they flush down them toilets. Oh God, I had to take a couple inmates one time down there to clean out that. It's like a screen or whatever. And
Yeah.
you wouldn't believe all the stuff that them guys flush down them toilets. I didn't even want to look at it. I said, I don't care.
I could only imagine, brother.
Yeah.
Thank you for your service, for real, man. I mean that takes a dedicated person to get up and go to work and put up with that day in and day out.
Well, I didn't want to.
Well, I know, but you did it, right?
Yeah, I did it. Some days were better than others.
Yeah.
But I did meet some pretty interesting people in there. Two of them are known pretty good. First one was Elmer Wayne Henley, the guy that shot and killed Dean Corell, the Candyman in Houston.
Okay.
In the 70s. I talked to him. I called him out in the chow hall one day. And then there was Stephen Russell. I don't know if y'all seen that movie. He was a con man. And
Okay.
And he was in love. Jim Carrey was in the movie with, I don't remember who else, but anyways, he was gay, and he was trying to do everything for, to make it look good for his boyfriend. Well, anyways, he done got fat and old. Matter of fact, he just made parole not too long ago. And I'd go up to him. I said, "Hey, Russell, what you doing, man?" I said, "You gonna try to stape anymore?" He said, "No, Gordon." He said, I'm too old. I can't do that no more." And I just laugh, and just sit there and shoot the breeze with him. He was a pretty good dude.
Yeah.
But they had him locked up. He wasn't going nowhere. That's for dang sure.
So, Kim, have you ever worked in a prison, or have you ever had anybody in prison?
No, I teach elementary school.
Okay.
I teach graders.
Okay.
uh,
What made you want to teach kindergartners?
6th grade.
Grade.
I like the older kids because they are independent. They're sarcastic. They get your humor. You can banter with them. I like that. I like to talk about their popular stuff with them. What's pop culture right now, things like that. So that's the good parts.
What grade do you teach?
6th.
Oh boy.
Do y'all have
Yeah.
a lot of vaping and stuff going on over there?
12-year-olds. Not at my. I'm not at a middle school. I'm still at an elementary school, so it's my building's actually just 5th and 6th graders. We've had it in the building, but I don't think it's rampant. I think they know not to. With me, yeah, no. Other
Okay.
places in the building, yeah, they might.
Because it's pretty rampant here. Like, kids are vaping nicotine, they're vaping THC, they're vaping all anything they can
Yeah,
get their little hands on.
I know they're independent a lot. They don't have a lot of good supervision at home. They have a lot of freedom. They're, access
Yeah.
to stuff. And my daughter was just telling me about a family she knows that has like 5 kids and the mom doesn't get out of bed. Like the kids have to text her from their phone. And I'm like, that's my population that I'm teaching.
Right.
That's bad.
Yeah.
I was gonna do the little 12-year-old girls live stream again because the one that I did the other day I had to delete it because they had that video on the second part of it. I'm gonna still do it, but I got a lot more footage from this guy that actually lives down there in Houston. His name's Steve, and I got some good footage off his page. I got permission from him to show it. So when I show it, you're actually going to see the crime scene. You're going to see where it happened. So it's an interesting. I mean, because what I showed is, she snuck out. There was more to the story. Okay, I'm going to tell you all a little bit. There was more to the story. She snuck out. She was going to go to this little store that was right there on the corner where she lived, but that store was closed. So she ended up walking down probably 2 blocks, 3 blocks to the 7-Eleven, and that's where she encountered those men. And the crime scene was less than probably 300 yards from the 7-Eleven. There's a bridge, like 2 bridges. In Texas, you know how the bridges are here where they have those little concrete pillar things that you
Right.
can where they have the homeless shelters underneath there and stuff. Not
Yeah.
shelters, but they have the homeless camps. So it was under there where it happened. So they had her under there for like 2 hours, and they did finally release that she was sexually assaulted, and they are going to push for the death penalty for those 2 guys, which I think that's awesome, man. I mean, they need
Oh
it.
yeah. Yeah. She
What's the girl's name?
Um,
I can't
You know,
remember.
that's okay. That's okay.
Josh,
Pretty little girl.
Jocelyn Naragay or something like that. Naragay.
I just wanted to see if I had heard of it.
Yeah, she was 12 years old. And I mean, of course, people were blaming the mom and blaming, this and that. But she was just going to get a drink at the store.
Yeah, you can't.
She was talking to her boyfriend, on the phone.
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Texas?
Well, nothing really. I said they got plenty of room down there at the Pulaski unit. They can be neighbors with old McDougal.
Yeah.
Because that's where he's going. I ain't no doubt in my mind about that.
I mean, I don't see them making it out, because people that kill kids, they don't have an easy stay in prison in Texas that I've heard.
Well, yeah, death row, from what I understand, I've never been to it. I could have went down there and visited it, but I never did because it's about 90 miles from me. But they're tightly monitored, whereas we might have, two bosses on a section. They got 4 or 5 on death row at all times. That's their top priority. A lot of them guys in there, trying to commit suicide.
Right.
And I've seen them. I've seen cutters, but if they don't know what they're doing, they cut across their wrist. That ain't what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to cut. They're supposed to cut long ways and deep.
Yeah.
But
I'm on camera.
it's pretty crazy, starting fires. God, I don't know how they start fires, but they do.
Yeah, I don't know either. It happens though.
when
It
I first hired out, we had a guy named Teddy Weems. He was always bad about starting fires. He was on the 3rd floor. So anyways, one of the guys come and told me, "Hey, Weems is down there starting a fire, so give me that fire extinguisher. I'll go take care of it." It was at night. And I went down there, and he threw whatever he had started the fire with. He threw it all over the firebox, which has a fire hose and stuff in it. So I just shot it with that extinguisher, and then I stuck the extinguisher up underneath that door and just shot him with it.
Oh,
And,
wow.
I didn't realize it was one of them halonic fire extinguishers. They had to empty that whole pot and put them out on the rec yard for about an hour.
Well, Carlos, welcome. Carlos, welcome.
Yeah.
How you doing, buddy?
Good. How are you doing tonight?
I'm good. Just having an impromptu. You know me. I'll start up a live at any time.
I like it.
Well, Texas and I were talking about the prison system. I don't know if you've ever had anybody that had been incarcerated, or if you've ever worked in the prison system or at a jail or anything like that. Do you have any wild stories?
Well, I know a lot of convicts, but
Okay.
no, never any direct dealings, either myself or close family members, with the prison system or anything like that. But I think, we have a pretty crazy story about how we were kind of teetering around that and some other things, within our own life. So we did, try to look into some of that stuff, but never really got to that point, thankfully. But
Trying to avoid that.
Yeah, we did everything, we possibly could to avoid that. And that did happen. So, but no, nothing directly.
It's sad that I don't know how it is in other states. I don't know where you are from, but you don't have to disclose either. But here in Texas, it's almost a shame. You have to get locked up to get any kind of help, mental health, or substance abuse or anything like that, because the MHMRs and stuff out here are so strapped. If you're not actively suicidal at that moment, they send you home. It's like, oh, you're fine. Or if you're bipolar, then they might look at you, but schizophrenic, possibly. But anything else, keep an eye on them.
Well, 12 gauge, we have a story. I guess I have to check to Kim here to see if it's okay to disclose that, but
no names.
Okay. But yeah, we have a story that one of the reasons why we were looking into potential incarceration is exactly what you mentioned, that we were dealing with, a close family member that had some mental issues, at least from our, parental diagnosis.
Right.
We went out in the real world and tried to get, diagnosis for, whatever was going on. And we just couldn't get anything locked down. And finally, we had somebody tell us that, look, this person may need to be in a controlled environment. And unfortunately, that controlled environment, one of those controlled environments could be incarceration, to get the help that they need. And we were like, what? So we tried everything else and ran into brick wall after brick wall, just like the brick wall behind me here, over and over again, that we just, we were just at a loss and didn't know what steps to take. I think that's why for both of us, we are always gravitating to your show, because you have that, you talk a lot about that, even in cases that may not be the lead. I think you
Right.
bring that, to the discussion, which is very important. I think people are undereducated, no disrespect, but people are undereducated about mental health issues and the vast array of what that could be. And every time you bring something like that up, I think you're helping one more person, right? There's one person who knows exactly what you're speaking of.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I mean, I was listening to y'all's playlist, and I believe that if you continue to go down that avenue, you will be doing the same, because it was it's good stuff. Good stuff.
Thanks.
Thank you.
It is sad that I have worked with a lot of dual diagnosis people, because working with people that use drugs and alcohol, I mean, you get a mental health issue from the years of using the chemicals, because it changes your mindset.
Mm.
And any kind of trauma that you experience, kind of like what I was telling Texas, even being incarcerated for a long period of time can cause irreversible damage trauma wise. Texas, are you there?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
listening.
Okay. I thought I heard like a crackling sound or something like that.
Well, no,
Yeah, I hear it too.
crackling, but I don't know what it is.
Oh. But like you develop that trauma, and when they get out here in the free world, as they like to call it, they send them to treatment. But these individuals have been locked up so long, they don't have the coping skills to deal with life. If you've ever seen that movie Shawshank Redemption, you remember when that old man got paroled and he went and tried to make it in the world, and what happened to him, right? Because he just couldn't do it. He was somebody in there. He got out here and he felt like just nobody important. And it's tragic that, mental health can be anything as simple as having social phobias, not being able to function with people. It could be anything. Not being able to communicate effectively. It could be your problem solving is just lacking. There's not proper
Your
proper
self-worth.
functioning.
Self-worth.
Yeah, self-esteem, any of that stuff, Yeah, Rondi, please get the name of the channel and put it in the chat, please. And what I see is when people need help out here, there's been so many that have abused the medications that they won't prescribe them.
Yeah.
I found that firsthand. I herniated a disc in my lower back.
Mm-hmm.
And I swear I went to emergency room after emergency room just trying to get something to relieve the pain. And they thought I was drug seeking. They would not give me anything. They thought I was faking it. And I was like, this is what I do for a living, blah, blah, blah. I know not to be asking for something I'm not asking for a narcotic. Give me something that's going to relieve this pain. Nothing. Wouldn't give me nothing.
Yep.
Yeah. The same thing happened to me. I went to my primary doctor, and he has his own little practice, and he has a little chalkboard set up that says basically don't even ask. And I went there to talk to him about something with medication, and I was afraid to ask, but I think he was just kind of, weeding out the
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
But what's your channel name? Is it atypically unique or?
It's typically unique.
Yeah.
Typically unique. Okay.
Yep. At typically unique.
Okay. So it's terrible whenever you get to that point. I guess Texas got booted or something.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being up here, buddy. We'll get together again and we'll discuss some of those stories. I'm curious to hear what you went through. But as far as you're being able to ask people for help, kind of like what you've shared with the with the live streams, it's difficult. People don't listen. They want to tell you what you need, not the other way around. Or it's not that serious. Just take them home and do this and do that, and positive affirmations, and have them on a schedule. And I'm sure you've heard it all, and it doesn't work.
Did it all and did it all.
Yeah. Yeah, we have. In 12 gauge, one of the things that I think we've always wanted to have the conversation with you about is, during our, trials and tribulations of dealing with the mental health system or just the healthcare system, or,
We did them both.
yeah, we would find out things that is just not known to the greater public, right? I mean, you have to be knee deep in it, up to here, frustrated, and you just don't know
Until you stumble upon
it. Or there is this good Samaritan out there that has seen this 100 times and is like, this is what you need to do. May I give an example of such?
Sure.
So, so we have been dealing with kind of a suicidal thing that you talked a little bit about, where once that person claims that I'm no longer suicidal, well, okay, we took away the immediate threat, go home, right?
Yes, exactly.
And we had dealt with this over and over again, right? And sometimes we felt it was 100% legit. Sometimes I think we felt it was a tool to get out of the house, right? Or, go somewhere else, right?
To go back.
Yeah, to go back. But either way, we're going to take it seriously each and every time.
Of course.
And we had went to, because the protocol was we would go to the emergency room first, right? And then from the emergency room, the person would get assigned to go someplace else. But you have to go to the emergency room first. And this was probably our third trip. I may be, a little off on that. It all runs together after a while, which is one of the reasons, quick plug, we did the podcast, is because we wanted to do our memoir. Kim had taken a lot of notes of what happened, and we just wanted to chronologically kind of put down what we felt during this time, that our friends and family who are close with us and lived through this with us could hear where we were coming from and all this, because we were basket cases as well. But
Right.
But anyway, we went to the emergency room probably the third time, and it got to the point where we just didn't feel safe anymore. We didn't feel safe for ourselves, our family, and we didn't feel safe for our loved one who was, saying, I want to hurt myself and all this. So there was just a lot of that. And Kim's a great crier. I mean, it's not like just little tears. I mean, it's all over her body, and she's got a backache, and I'm hunched over and I'm blubber,
Right.
I mean, she can cry, right? So she was in one of those fits, and we were in this little room. This social worker
We were at the hospital.
We were in the emergency room at the hospital. We're in a room off to the side. They were triaging right on the other side of the door. And we were like,
that was beside myself.
Yeah, she was beside herself. And I told the social worker, I'm like, look, we don't feel safe. We don't, there's issues here as well. I mean, none of this is getting fixed.
Because we knew he would go somewhere for 5 days and come home, and we knew they weren't going to get to the root cause. We're just going through the same cycle again. So that's why it was like a level 10.
Now that
Right, because it is the stabilization period, like 3 to 7 days, and then if you have really good insurance, we're going to keep you 14 days, maybe 28 days. But if you don't, then we're going to send you home with some pills and bless you and say, hopefully not come back.
We never got past 7 days.
Yeah, and I'd like to talk about that too, because that was a big issue as well. But staying with the social worker for a minute, because we were in this room, she's crying hysterically, I'm getting frustrated, you know. The social worker kind of sees us, understands, had gotten all the information, what was going on, knew this wasn't our first rodeo, and there was a lot of stuff going on. She comes in, she looks around outside the door, she shuts the door and says, look, if you don't feel safe and this person's being sent to a short-term facility, don't pick them up. Refuse to pick them up. This way, they will get long-term care, or they will get, it won't be 1 or 2 days and, oh, they said they don't want to hurt themselves anymore, so go back home, and nobody felt safe. They're like, refuse to pick them up.
They'll have to keep them. And
They'll have to keep
them and treat them.
Yep, until there is some type of long-term care, because they're not coming home, and the state doesn't want them, you know?
Right.
So
let me ask you this question, okay?
Sure.
As far as the help you were looking for, were you looking for more behavioral or were you looking for mental? Because you have to fix one first before you fix the other, right? So what was more pressing at that time? Was it mental or behavioral?
Either one, as long as someone told us a correct diagnosis and exactly what was going on.
Okay.
And that was step one. Like, what's wrong? What's the diagnosis and what's the treatment?
So, and let me
no drug or alcohol use or anything like that, right? Okay.
Well, nothing to excess, and there was some of that going on, but there wasn't anything like there was super continuous chronic bad behavior. There were spots of it, you know, there were incidents that really put us on our heels, but it wasn't every day. You know, we were like, what's going to happen today? The mental health issues were consistent. The behavioral was, I will change my behavior based on, do I want to get something, right? It was used for coercion more than it was part of the standard being of the person, right? It was used as a tool to get what I want. I'll be good if I can go do this. I'll be bad if you don't let me do this, right? But it wasn't part of their psyche per se.
So did you guys end up getting help for this individual?
No.
The short answer is no.
Short answer is no. I can give you a bit of a longer answer if you like. I can tell you what steps we took, but yeah, short answer is no.
So you went through a lot of doors getting them shut on you, because it sounds like a lot of people either didn't believe the person, or when they got the person by themselves, the person lied to them. So they couldn't keep them, because here I am telling you I'm going to hurt myself. I pack you up, take you to the hospital. When I get you behind closed doors, I ask you, are you suicidal? No, I'm good. Are you homicidal? No, I would never hurt my parents. I would never do any of that. And then the moment I leave from the hospital, I'm saying it again. Well, you know what? I don't feel right. There's something going on in my head right now. I feel like I'm going to hurt myself. I feel like I'm going to jump out of this car. Please help me, right? Type stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
You get it.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. And that was the roller coaster that we were on, that we tried to get off of. We're like, somebody has to do something, because it wasn't small stuff that was scaring us so much. It was, you know, really, you know, talk that wasn't becoming, actions that were, you know, a little scary, and then just a coldness, or just a look that you read about or you'll see in movies sometimes. And to see that in real life was like, you know, we have to take note of that, you know, and that's important.
You know what's sad in those situations is usually the parents are being held hostage by a master manipulator, you know, somebody that has really learned how to play the game, and they're holding you hostage. It's the way that they really don't want to get better, but they don't know how not to help themselves because they're so used to getting the attention negatively. Because negative attention is just as much as positive attention to some people. You know what I mean? You give somebody positive
Oh, I
attention,
know that.
they don't react. You're yelling at them and telling them to clean their room, pick up the trash, da da da. All of a sudden, you got their attention. They slam the door, they do this, you're paying attention. Have you ever been told by this person that you don't listen to them, that you don't get them, you don't know what they're talking, you don't know what they're going through,
You don't know
care.
We
You're a bad parent.
Yeah, we went through a lot of that, even to the point where we had, I believe it was Fridays, every Friday, we would get the family together and we were going to do mental health check-ins. How are you doing? How are things going? What's going on in your life? You know, you can tell us anything. You know, we love you no matter what.
Right.
Everything that you could think of to put them at ease. And remember, this person is highly intelligent, highly intelligent. So this isn't like, you know, somebody who's sitting in the corner and rocking with dirty fingernails and just, you know, pounding themselves on the head. No, this is a highly functioning, very intelligent person who can use this manipulation to their advantage. And that's what they did.
You know, I do classes and stuff, right? So I was sitting in a room full of juveniles and I was asking them, I say, well, how come when your parents ask you not to do something or ask you to do something, you don't do it? Do you do it on purpose? Yes.
I don't want to, because I don't
They
want
do
to.
it, they do it on purpose to just push your buttons.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I got the front.
Like I've told many parents this, okay? And I'm not saying that you're a bad parent, or I'm not even insinuating this, okay? But you have to remember, this is still someone who doesn't have life figured out. You
Yep.
are the adult. What you say goes. Even in this new generation, you have to be the one to set the tone. They only know what they know. They think they know everything because of the internet, because of social media, because of YouTube, because of all this stuff. I can listen to it, I can see it, well, therefore I can do it. No, you can't. But you can't make your bed, you can't throw the trash, you can't feed the dog, you can't clean up after yourself, you haven't bathed in 4 days. I mean, you can't take care of yourself, but yet you're smart enough to run an iPad, right? So that's going to get you through life. You have to remember that you must formulate. I don't know if you're still dealing with this, but if you happen to deal with it again, you have to start off small first. But you have to formulate a pattern of consistency where this person doesn't manipulate you, where you understand the manipulation is a manipulation. The guilt,
go back.
because the guilt and shame, they're saying, I'm going to hurt myself. Let me out. I'm going to throw myself from the car. Pull the car over, lock the doors, and say, okay, we need to talk about this. We're not moving until you talk to us. and they'll probably do that and shut down. But once again, you're the adult. You're the one with the coping skills. You're the one that is smarter than this child is trying to manipulate you to get their way.
I agree 100% that as the adults in this circumstance, that we have to find every avenue, whether it was us personally having those conversations, just like you mentioned, or reaching out to the world, and grab whatever is available to us to try to get help. Unfortunately, our adulting skills and our parenting skills, as any normal parent would do, had consequences. There were consequences for you can't go here. There were not for them, for us. We had consequences. If we denied something, he would tell her, I hate you. I wish you would die. They would tell you that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I hate you. I wish you would die. If I had if I tried to put any consequences on, tell all their friends, this guy's physical with me, mistreats me, never laid a hand on him in my life, but we had consequences because they were smart, they were manipulative, and really knew what buttons to push. That's tough.
And what's frustrating to me is all the professionals that we spoke to about this, that provided treatment. I wish someone would have sat with us and laid out a plan like you're talking about in the early stages when it could have made a difference.
Right.
We weren't private about it. We were in front of doctors and educational people, special education type services,
Yep.
Lots of professionals we were in front of. That's not the norm. And that's why we want to talk about this issue, is because something needs to change. I don't know why it's taking so long for the science to catch up with our day and age. I know they know way more about the brain and behaviors and things like that. And the system that is set up is archaic. You don't get what you're talking about unless you happen in front of the right person that, like you're saying, can really sit with you. Like, we should have had a counselor, a parenting counselor that could have sat with us and told us that's not offered.
Because a lot of people don't know what to ask for. And you made that statement earlier. You said a lot of people have no clue what to ask for when they go looking for services. They think, well, for anybody that's listening, okay, the reason I asked them that question about whether it was mental or behavioral, you have to identify which one is the worst problem for you. If it's mental, then you need to go down the mental health road. If it's behavioral, then you go down the behavioral health type road. If you're going down behavioral health and it's mental, they're not gonna help you very much, because this person might need medication, they might need a psychologist, they might need a psychiatrist, they might need, What's unfortunate is it seems like the mental health and the health system it's like the most severe gets seen first. If they don't view your situation as being severe, then you just kind of wait until we get to you.
Yeah, that's an issue too. I view it too with the medical health. Like, if I hurt my arm, I'm not going to I don't know whether to ask for a physical therapist, bone doctor, a nerve doctor.
Start,
I'm
start with
not
your
going
doctor.
to,
Start with your family doctor.
but I'm not going to go to my family doctor and say, send me to, I'm not going to tell them and dictate to them what I need. They're going to analyze me. They're going to look at my injury and they're going to decide how to fix it. And I think the mental health industry needs to be more like that.
They're
So-
not. They're
It-
not.
I know they're not.
But we
Most of the
did do
time,
that.
They'll ask you questions and they'll assess you based on these questions that they're asking you. They get a borderline of what number the crisis is. They look at the book, look it up. Okay, there's this. Okay, well, we're either going to put you on medication or we're going to refer you to this therapist so they can help with the behavior problems or whatever. I mean, it's terrible.
Mhm.
I believe there's too many people with their hands in the cookie jar. That's the problem.
Yeah.
You don't need a doctor, a psychologist, a psychiatrist, a counselor, a life coach, a priest. You don't need all these people or guiding this one child where it should be one person or at most two. Because what you're doing is you're overwhelming the child with all these different types of theories and suggestions, and you're overwhelming the family and you're overwhelming everybody involved, where they just say, you know what, I just want to give up. Just want to give up. I don't want to go through this crap. It's a pain. I've been through this. I've been through that. Nobody's listening to me.
Yeah, there's that part of it too. Yeah.
You know, here in Texas, we have what's called LPCs. They're called licensed practical counselors. Okay. They can counsel mental health. They can counsel substance abuse. They can counsel everything. Social workers are the same way. So if you ever have to deal with this again, you start with the behavior first. The behavior doesn't change and it's more mental health, then you stop with that and you start with the psychiatrist, the psychologist to get the medication, the psychologist to monitor the mental health stuff that's going on. I know many people don't know that, and it's frustrating when you're trying to find help for your loved one and it's 3 a.m. and you're at the ER and they're telling you, well, we can't do very much. They're not fighting. They're not suicidal. They're not this. They're not that. What do you want us to do? Because most people look at it as you're the parent. You figure it out. They're your kid. You raise them. They're not bad enough to be with us yet. I've been told in the ER, I've been told, you don't have a heart issue. You're not gushing out blood. None of this. Why are you here?
Yeah.
That's what an emergency room is for. This is not an emergency. It's just anxiety, or it's this, or it's that. You need to go see your doctor tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
It's frustrating. It's frustrating, right?
We've heard all that. And
Yeah.
so a couple things, I guess, to that. One is, I think if our loved one would have ever been like, man, I just don't have the same thoughts, or I'm just not fitting in with society, as much as I'd like to. I seem to be on the outskirts, or, I feel there's something quirky about me that I'd really like to understand, and I would like to get help. I think that would have made this process so much easier, but we were dealing with the exact opposite. The world is out of whack. People who don't think and believe like me are just not worthy of my time, either in person, socially, whatever. And you people are sheep, and just, I can't believe that you have been molded into this society of, robots, you know, and I am going to be 100% different, you know, and what do you do with that? What do you say to that? No, come and live what society deems as normal so we can all coexist. And let's not be on the fringes or the outskirts of what is socially acceptable. I'm not saying you have to fall in line 100%, but, you know, you can't be, you know,
Well,
worshiping serial killers and saying, hey, that's the, you know, I
let
mean,
me
that's the
let
model
me
of our
ask both
society.
of you a question. I'm 52. Okay, you don't have to expose your age, but if you're anywhere near that, you remember growing up, there wasn't mental health conditions. You never heard of it. You had the wild hyper kid in class. It didn't matter what they did. They could paddle him, this, that, and the other. He was still bouncing off the walls. Nobody ever said he had ADD, ADHD. You had the kid that didn't talk to nobody. They they had the desk in the corner. You know, they were put their hoodie over their head. They didn't talk to nobody. They didn't talk to the teacher. What did they do? They just left them alone. They didn't look into these things, and then after a while, for whatever reason, everybody started having ADD. Everybody with defiant disorder. You were talking back to your parents. You didn't want to go to school. You were rowdy. You were a deviant. You're putting all these labels on people. Everybody's bipolar after the age of 18. You're a grown up, you're bipolar. You put all these labels on people where they're going to start acting like that. And I think we've gotten to a society that how many times do you hear people talking about being a narcissist? He's a narcissist. He's a narcissist. He's a narcissist. That's not even what a narcissist is.
Right.
You could have a little kid, 3 years old, hyper as hell, jumping off the couches onto the bed, you know, jumping from the coffee table, all this and that and the other. Nowadays, you know what people say? You need to put that little baby on medicine. He has ADD. That is normal behavior. But we've gotten to the point in our lives where we want to control everything to be easier to cope with. And I'm not saying this is what y'all are doing, okay? Don't take that one bit, all right? Or we're trying to do. But there are parents out there that want their kids on medication because they don't want to deal with them. They plug them into a gaming system and they sit them down with a phone, a tablet, whatever their life, whatever they want, and they don't bug them. Hell, you hungry, you know where the fridge is. You stay up all night, you sleep all day, whatever. That stuff did not fly back in the day. I remember during summertime, I was up at 9 o'clock, 8:30 at the latest, and I was outside.
Yeah.
I didn't stay inside all day long.
We were outside all day.
Right. You're right, Jeremiah. Cut back on the sugar. We have so much processed stuff in our food.
That's what I was going to say.
You know, that gives us mental health issues. I mean, I could wake up hyper and happy and this and that and the other. I eat breakfast and man, I'm ready to pass out again. Like it weighs you down so much that your body can barely, digest it. So it's almost like, just crazy. I don't know where I was going with that, but I
think both can be
true. A little bit I said makes sense. Go ahead.
I think both can be true. I think we see more of it because we've changed our environment, like you said, our food standards, the way we're making food, contaminating food, chemicals that are being used, plastics, all that stuff have created more risks for those types of things. But I think your advice for parents of young kids, look at the behavior first. I think that is excellent, excellent advice, because it could be changes parenting needs to make too, like you said. I wish it was more widely available to parents to know exactly what to do. But I think that's great advice. But I do think we're seeing more of it. At least it would weed that out, right? The kids that it's behavior, it can be dealt with, like those conversations and strategies you were talking about. But I still think we're going to have a whole lot more need for those medicines.
There's no quick answer. I mean, I wouldn't know directly how to help you unless I had that person in front of me and I was actually talking with them and I actually probed and got to know them and build rapport and this, that, and the other. You know, it's hard. It's hard even on a screen to do like teledoc, all that stuff, because you can't really tell. You can't gauge the person's emotions on a screen.
Right.
You know? But think about what, you said you teach sixth graders, right? Well, I was taught that anytime a juvenile comes into our or into the juvenile probation office, to ask if they're acting a little antsy, or they can't sit still, or they're falling asleep, or this, that, and the other, to ask them, have you eaten? Have you drank any water today? Did you get enough sleep? Instead of just yelling at them for breaking a rule, you must ask them certain questions like that, because most kids these days do not eat a healthy meal.
Yeah.
Most of them don't eat at all. They sure as heck don't drink enough water.
Right.
And that affects the brain in itself. And if they're not sleeping normally, their brain is so messed up. Their serotonin, dopamine, all that's messed up.
That's a huge problem. I have a lot of kids that are up all night, and I do everything I can to accommodate. Like if they're like a hyper child, I mean, they can lay on the floor, they can pace the back of the room, whatever they need to make them successful. I've had students that put their head down and fall asleep, if it's one day, but when it's happening over and over again, then it's time to like reach out and find out what's going on, right? I think sometimes teachers get a bad rap for being too hard on things, but the educational field has really, we've been learning a lot about that and how to accommodate children with those conditions. And I've had a lot of severe behaviors.
I mean, how many kids do you run into on a daily basis in the grocery stores, at the mall, wherever? How many kids do you run into and you go, man, that's a well-behaved kid right there? Or that kid's all over the place. The mom's ignoring them. I could go and snap that kid and she wouldn't be the wiser. You know what I mean? So you have to look at where the problem is. And a lot of times it's the parents. I hate to say that, but a lot of times it is the parents. But you could have good parents and you could have kids that turn out to not be such good kids. And there's something usually that is continuing to trigger that. And sometimes it's chemical, sometimes it's chemical imbalance. It could be anything. It could be, I've heard of people with thyroid problems at young ages that make them act crazier and defiant and all kinds of stuff. Once they got on thyroid medication, they were fine. Because think about it, anytime that you're deficient of something, your body is screaming out, hey, something's wrong with me. Something's wrong with me.
Yep. There's a lot of things. I've heard about magnesium deficiencies and vitamin D deficiencies and like the serotonin, like you were talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't teach sixth graders. They're wild.
They are. I'm crazy. They're
Look at
wild
this.
and I'm crazy.
You're right. They eat chips and sodas. Well, I did too. In high school, my lunch used to be a Dr. Pepper and a bag of Cheez-Its. That's it. That's all I ate.
Yeah.
I remember in class, our teachers, certain ones, of course, would make us lay our heads down for about 5 to 10 minutes. It's while they did something, but something kids need to help them regroup.
We meditate now.
But you know, another thing that happened in today's schools is they have all these electronics that they let them bring into classes, the AirPods, the the cell phones. Even if they don't have their cell phones, they can still turn the music on, put their cell phone in their bag, and they're sitting there listening to music while the
Yeah.
teacher's trying to teach.
Yeah.
They have all these things going on. It's just terrible. I mean, I don't know if it's terrible. I just think it's a distraction because they don't like to be there. For whatever reason, school is no longer a place where most kids want to be. And even the good kids don't want to be there very long. Do you have any intake on that? I mean, do you have any feedback on why kids don't want to be in school anymore?
Depends on what the classroom environment is. I try to I want learning to be fun, so we have a fun time in my class.
I'm a casual observer of Kim, and I know she's sometimes frustrated with her job, not only because of how kids are acting these days, but I think around the time of and shortly after the pandemic, there was some criticality around teachers and things like that. So it put them in a defensive position. But I hear all the stories, right? I hear the good ones, I hear the bad ones. And, I have to say, from what I hear from her, there's a core group of kids who want to be there, right? And I'm not going to hear their stories, this core group of 6 girls and a couple boys, that just really do what they're supposed to do and are really fun, and we play games together and they enjoy it and they're respectful and do everything that they're supposed to do. Well, those stories come to me once a month. The stories I hear once a day are, this student called me a bad word today, and I had to try to break in the bathroom because, a student was doing something they shouldn't have done. And, those are the stories you hear about. But I think, at the end of the day, there are, and I hear what you're saying about this 12 gauge. There are good parents with bad kids. There's bad parents with good kids. There's bad parents with bad kids, right? But, at the end of the day,
Parents with good kids.
yeah. And at the end of the day, I feel the accountability there, even as a minor, I think the accountability has to be with the student as well, right? I mean, they have to have some accountability because, you got to be able to say, I want to do this well. I want to achieve. I want to succeed. And it wasn't anything my parents were telling me. Now, I feel like I grew up and did okay in life. It wasn't my parents were sitting me down every morning and you got to do good in life. I wanted to do good in life. I wanted to achieve. I have a brother and sister. We all took 3 different paths. It wasn't because of our parents. They did the exact same thing with all 3 of us. We were different. I wanted to do certain things in my life. My brother wanted to do something else. My sister wanted to do something else. So that's where it kind of takes me full circle that we are cogs in the wheels of somebody else's life, but they have to take accountability for, you have to take accountability for your life. I have to take accountability for mine. And even though we have a vested interest in our family members and our children, and our parents, they have to take accountability for their life. We can do everything we possibly can to help, and we'll do it out of love, either love, or tough love. We'll do whatever we can, but they're the ones that need to push themselves forward.
Right. You said a lot right there. The sad part is that the brain doesn't mature till 26. So there's a long period right there where you have to readdress, because you can, like I said, by 13, they have the core issues down. They have the core thing they're going to use the rest of their lives. But as far as adapting to life on life terms, most kids, most young adults don't have a clue. That's why, they're throwing parties and they don't realize the danger is, and, all this stuff that's going on. That's why it doesn't really bother them, because they feel invincible, that nothing's going to hurt them. And as long as they're the good kids, they're definitely sheltered even more from the boogeyman or whatever life is, and that's not true.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the sad part is, for whatever reason, kids think that they're invincible, and they're really not. We thought we were invincible. We broke a bone, we healed in 6 weeks. We're good. We're Superman. It was even stronger after it broke. Right?
Well, we did, I think this is generational too, but I felt like my parents didn't know what they were talking about. I knew what I was talking about, especially when I was in high school. I knew what I was talking about. I know when our kids hit high school, they're like, you guys don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, we don't know what we're talking about. I mean, come on. But every kid, just like you said, has that sense of invincibility because they've never experienced a consequence. Until you get hit between the eyes with the consequence for something that you've done, God forbid it is anything horrible like, rape or death or, things like that. But, until you get picked up by the police because you're acting a fool, or, you get caught by your parents doing something stupid, or you lose a group of friends because you're, just acting all wild. Until somebody gets hit with a consequence, I don't understand. They don't understand how they're trudging through life until they get hit with those natural consequences. Now, we're old enough that we've been hit with a few in life that we're like, okay, we learned that lesson. So we're not going to go down that road again. And we advise our kids of that, but they don't listen. They don't care. They want to experience it for themselves.
What the sad part is? I deal with kids that like to play with guns, real guns.
Ugh.
And as long as they're shooting at the house and they're not shooting at the person, they feel that they're doing nothing wrong.
Ooh.
They feel like if I'm shooting at the vehicle, if I'm shooting at the house, if I'm shooting up in the air, then I'm expelling my masculinity. It's only going to take either them getting shot, like you said, or a small child getting injured or killed. I don't think that's going to be enough for a lot of them. I think that their mentality is they smoke a lot of weed, so therefore they're gangsters and thugs. They're going to show the world how tough they are by having a gun and shooting up people's houses. And what you said is you can talk to them, you can tell them the dangers, but when it's all said and done, most of them aren't going to get it.
No.
So how do you address that problem? I've had that conversation with my boss. It's like, we didn't have that issue when I was younger. The gangster stuff was just popping off when I was graduating, but still it wasn't here.
Yeah.
It was in the bigger cities. Now it's here. Now it's, everybody wants to be a gangster. Everybody wants to be a rapper. Everybody wants to, be an influencer on YouTube or whatever to make money. Nobody wants to get a real job these days. They believe that if I rap, even if I'm no good, somebody's going to buy my stuff.
Well, let me say this, because I too grew up with that, and the gang life, and I did live in Chicago for a little bit, and so I was surrounded by it very early on. But in today's society, and this is my own personal theory, I don't think I think we romanticize the ideology of the gangster lifestyle. And I see a lot of people taking that persona on. Like, I see, no disrespect to this, but, I may see a 5'2" redheaded kid, who doesn't look very intimidating at all, be like, don't disrespect me, because the worst thing you could do to me is disrespect me. Not the worst thing that you could do to me is punch me in the face. The worst thing you could do to me is disrespect me. And that is all gangster style ideology that people have romanticized over the past 20, 30 years. And that's what gets people in most trouble. When we were growing up, 12 gauge, it was probably a backyard fight. You got over, you hugged it out afterwards, and you played with that kid the next day, but
Or
now it's about,
or you fought them until you felt that was good enough.
that was
I've
good
been
enough.
3 or 4 times. They're not going to be me. I'm good.
Yep.
Shook hands and became best friends after that.
Best friends afterwards. But we are in a society today now of all that ideology, and you're right, influencers perpetuate that a lot, right? And that's what we're seeing today. And I'm not saying it's rampant, but I know some of the stories she comes back and tells me. I think in my head, I'm like, that is a 12-year-old, 4'10" kid thinking that he is Dr. Dre or Snoop Dogg or something, and and I'm like, what? Or Tupac or something, it's just, I don't get it. And that's what she deals with on a daily basis,
And most of them don't even know how to spell disrespect, much less what it means. You know what I mean? It's like when I go over the classes and I talk about
NWA.
respect and disrespect, they're looking at me like, that's what it means? They're thinking that they got their little feelings hurt, so you disrespected me. I felt some kind of way, so therefore you crossed the line. Now I got to fight you. Now I got to put you in your place. Like you said, no more is it that the 4'11" guy is going to come and beat you up. He's going to shoot you. Shoot up the school. Have a list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I see is a lot of anger. These
At what?
kids are so angry.
At what? What do they have to be angry about?
The world. Like, I had a little boy that I would sit next to him. I would do anything to help him and try to be, lighthearted with him. And he would treat me so horribly. And I met him with nothing but kindness. Just angry.
They have nothing to be angry about. It is an instilled reaction to what they see everybody else doing. Are you angry when you wake up in the morning? Either one of you?
I'm not. I'm happy every morning.
What do these kids have to be angry about? They have big TVs in their room. They have tablets. They have computers. They have gaming systems. They have their own credit card. They have, shoes and clothes and all this stuff. What do they have to be angry about? Now, if they had to walk to school in the snow, uphill both ways, carrying a tire on their back, and
I asked my daughter that one time, why is this generation just a little bit different than ours, and I think a lot of kids these days, and this may or may not be controversial, and I'm not trying to go down that route, but
okay, you're fine.
I think a lot of people today have when we were growing up, we were boys and girls, and we were Republican and Democrat, and it was black and white. And today we are in a true melting pot of society, right? And everybody's looking for their own identity, whether you're biracial, whether you're from a broken family or a two-parent family, whether you're, part of the LGBTQ community. There are everybody's looking for a place, and those, I think, who either haven't found it yet and feel good within it. I think everybody who hasn't found their own identity and feels proud about it and willing to wear that for the rest of their lives, I think do the opposite of feeling good is being bad. And that, I think that is my own personal assessment, but I've seen too many examples of it to take me off that assessment.
I believe that they don't understand the hard work that it takes to have money. They believe that money can just manifests itself. Like, if my friends are going to the Bahamas for spring break, can I go to the Bahamas, or can I go to Aruba, or can I fly to Hawaii for a week, or can you give me a new Mercedes or a Lexus or a Maserati or something of that nature? My friend just got one. Why can't I have one?
Right.
Like, so you tell them, hey, you got to earn that. You got to work for that. Well, I don't want it. I'm not working for that.
Oh, no.
No.
I noticed this when my little nephew was probably 8 years old, and he's 18 now, so probably about 10 years ago. We were playing a game in the backyard. I think we were playing kickball or something. And he kicked the ball to me, and I hit him with the ball and tagged him out, right? He got mad and said, I don't want to play anymore, and walked off. I'm like, you come here. No, you're not walking off. Why are you quitting? I don't want to play anymore. I'm like, because you weren't perfect the first time? How many kids are hurting themselves because they believe that perfection is actually attainable? You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
The perfect look,
Yeah.
the perfect size, the perfect athletic ability, the perfect financial status, the perfect anything.
I think there is something to say about parents kind of perpetuating that. I saw someone put spoiled in the comments, and there's something to that. Like, we're Gen X. We joked on our show about how we're our parents were just like, oh, rub some dirt in it, or, shake it off. Like, we were problem solvers. We had to figure out a lot of things on our own. We were on our own a lot of the times, more independent. And then I know when I became a parent, I don't even know if I did it intentionally, but I was very protective, and that was, my children are adults now. So now I'm seeing the next generation. It's almost like they've doubled down on that. And the kids are very dependent, very coddled, don't hear no. I can't tell you how many times I'm in the store and kids are freaking out if they can't get something, or they're speaking super rudely at their parents because they want something. And, the way they're allowed to talk that way, it's just acceptable. I don't know. There's just not a lot of boundaries and discipline, more so, I think, with every generation that we're seeing.
So you said we were alone a lot. You're right. Well, the kids are alone a lot now because it takes two parents to have to work, but they're babysat by electronics, where they are influenced by anybody and everybody that they interact with online, whether it be on a game, whether it be on YouTube, whether it be on the TV, wherever. They're influenced by somebody that they don't even know that's influencing them. Very seldom do they have real life friends that come over and throw the ball around or play basketball or, just joke around in the yard or whatever. Most of the time it's imaginary. You're
Yeah.
talking with somebody on a headset playing a video game.
Yep. Where we'd have like 10 kids outside playing a kickball game. Or figuring out whose house we're going to for lunch.
And God forbid something happened to a cell phone, but I've seen adults deal with that the same way. You break your cell phone, what are you going to do? You're going to go into a panic like no other. You're going to be asking people, hey, you got Verizon, you got AT&T, you got T-Mobile, whatever. You got an old phone that I can borrow? My phone's broke. I just ordered a new one. And it doesn't matter if that phone is $3,000. You're going to buy it because you feel that I need that. So what does that pass along to the next generation? Instant gratification.
Yeah, that too. Yes. Yep. Instant gratification. Yep.
Think about relationships. How many times do you see little boys break up with a girl and don't know how to be alone? They have to have a girlfriend within a couple of minutes, couple of hours. They don't know how to be alone. Or they're stringing along 4 little girls. I don't know. I never thought I'd be in this position, honestly, to be speaking like an adult. I really didn't. I never saw myself in an adult role where I would actually be speaking about children's behaviors. I always thought, nah, I'm not going to get old quickly. And one day I blinked and I was right here. And whoa, how did that happen?
Yeah.
When did that happen? Why did that happen? All my friends have white hair, or no hair or whatever, it's like gray hair. I'm like, what happened to you?
Someone said, were you bad?
I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm just saying, I didn't live here for a lot of years, so I still have friends that live here. And I came back and I ran into a lot of women like, whoa, that's not the mental image that I had of you. You know what I mean? We always have this mental image. And the answer to your question, Jeremiah, yes, I was very bad. I was very bad and very wild. I graduated 61 out of 63 students, if that tells you anything.
But you graduated.
I'm not ashamed to say that now because of what I've become. But I mean, at that point, I was like, whoa, you're going to graduate me? You're only graduating me because you don't want me here next year. That's it. What can we do to make that F into a B? Slip the teacher $100, be like, okay, he passed. He's good. I don't know. We kind of got off track there, but I hope some of the stuff that I suggested helps, and I will get on tomorrow if y'all can send me that StreamYard link, and we'll talk some more tomorrow.
Yep.
What time is that Central Time?
What are they, an hour before us?
Behind us. So if we get on at 6, it'd be 5 for them.
Oh, that's what I meant. 5.
Okay, because I get off at 5. So can we make it about 30 minutes after that, 6:30 or so?
We can do 6 and we'll do 7.
Yeah, we do 7.
6 o'clock your time.
Okay, 7 o'clock. Okay, 6 o'clock my time. All right, that sounds good.
Yeah, that way you don't have to rush.
Okay.
Thanks
cool.
everybody in the chat.
Well,
I
I
was
think
looking
we're ready to hop down here. They're still asking questions.
at
What changed me? Um, what changed me was I got tired of falling on my face, like, creating the same thing over and over and over. I, I got tired of pushing good people away, because I had some of the best people in my life when I was the sickest. And that's usually what I see how it goes now. Is you have the best people in your life when you're the sickest or you're the worst off. Then you get better and then you attract the sickest. It's a weird concept, it really is. And I became a therapist, so it's like a magnet, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I really got tired of landing on my face, and I got tired of the same repetitive thing. One day I woke up. I've been drinking for days, drugging, God knows whatever, what else. And I always tell this story to my clients as well, as I'm not ashamed of my life. I could literally feel my skull touching my brain, and that's, I had done so much. Like I was laying there, and I just move my head, and I could literally feel it, touching. And I was like, bro, you're gonna die if you don't do something.
Wow.
You're gonna die if you don't get it right. Quitting drinking was the hardest thing that I've ever had to do in my life. It really was a battle for me, and I just couldn't. I couldn't get it right. I went to therapy for a year. Things started to change, but I was already beginning my counseling and stuff. I was sober, but I still had the behaviors. The mental health stuff was still there. I was getting help for that, but the behaviors were still there. I was like a wild man. I had anger like nobody's business. That anger was burning everything up around me. I could not keep anything in my life very long because I burnt it up as quickly as I got it. And it took a lot of work. That's why I always say I've been through hell and I don't ever want to go back. I know what the flames feel like, I know what the flames feel like.
yeah, that's
And
a good motivator.
I try to help people. I ask the person who my higher power is, I ask for this thing. Please help me give more than I take today, because you know, that's what I was. I was a taker, I was a thief. I did all that. I just want to give more than I take. And, most of the time that's why I get on here and I have streams like this, because you just never know who's struggling. You never know. And I know that my words or, my inspiration, whatever, is not going to change the world. But you know what? Sometimes it might not be what you say. It's the simple fact that somebody understands you. Somebody understands what you're going through, and you're not alone. You know.
Absolutely.
Well,
Thanks for sharing your
I look
story.
forward to talking to you guys tomorrow.
Yep, we look forward to it too. Thanks for sharing your story. That's great to hear that,
Well, there's a
just
lot
share
more
what
of
you've gone through.
it. There's a lot more. I kind of gave you the condensed Cliff Notes version. I gave the PG-13 version.
Right.
It's good to see you, Carlos.
You too. No, always glad to be on for sure.
All righty. Well, I'm gonna talk a little more. If y'all want to stay in the chat, please do. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, guys and gals in the chat. You've heard my story a little bit. Like I said, I've come a long way, but I don't like to brag about it because You know, you're just one situation away from going backwards sometimes. Sometimes that soap, as much as you think you picked it up, it's right there in front of you and you slip and fall on it. And it takes you back a little bit. Fear. You know, I heard this quote by a football player, and I live with it as well because I like it. He said, "Lord, thank you for allowing me to learn how to smile, but please don't ever let me forget that I cried." I mean, that is pretty profound because you know a lot of times we get to feeling good about ourselves, we forget that we weren't always at that point. We don't have to close the door on it, but we don't have to dwell on it either. You know, we don't have to dwell on it. Yes, sir. Fear, false events appearing real. That is so true. You know, I like to play with grenades back in the day, like I've shared with you guys. Anytime something was going too good, or I got to a level where I've already been before, I got the grenades out, threw them behind me, and burned the whole world up, just so I could start all over, just out of fear, just like Jeremiah just said. I don't play with grenades anymore. I'm glad each and every one of you tune in to these because I enjoy doing these a lot more than I enjoy the true crime. Even though I do enjoy the true crime, I enjoy helping the living, not so much glorifying the dead. You know what I mean? Because the living still need hope. They still need to have faith and they still need love. So try to remember that whenever you're on these YouTube streets and people are arguing in the chat or they're arguing on panel or whatever, it's about the living that's more important than the dead. You know, the dead, they fulfilled their destiny on this world. Everything is written, so their destiny has been already fulfilled. So, you know, try to put more emphasis on the living. Try to make a change in your world, make it better. I know we all struggle. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. I'm so glad each and every one of you are in here. I really am, and that's not lip service. I don't waste my words, and I don't try to kiss up to people just so people will like me. You know, but I mean, I don't like to say this because, you know, it could be just like tonight. Tomorrow I could get on here and be like, I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to talk about that. You know, I guess I'll see you guys when I see you. I got a show planned on Friday night. It's going to be about gangs. It's going to be kind of dispelling some rumors about the Idaho 4 and the gang involvement and all this and that and the other. So if you're in the neighborhood, please try to stop by, say hello. Um, on your way out tonight, if you enjoyed the show, hit a like. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. And if you enjoy what's going on here, keep coming back. Keep coming back. You know, I hope that I do help some people. No, not Wednesday or Thursday. It's gonna be Friday. Because last Thursday I realized that there's a lot going on these streets on Thursdays. And you know, the gang one's gonna be pretty good, I think. But you guys have a wonderful night. And remember to take care of yourselves and be vigilant out there. And try not to be so hard on yourself. Try not to be so hard on yourself. You know, instead of saying those awful things about yourself or letting other people say those awful things, try to challenge those words. Because I believe that each and every one of you is worth more than you give yourself credit for. Well, you know what? It's time for the maestro to cue the music. I'll see y'all soon.